Djoser, also read as djoser and djoser, was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh of the 3rd dynasty during the Old Kingdom, and was the founder of that epoch. He is also known by his Hellenized names Djoser from Monedo and Ses Orthos from Eusebius, but there are difficulties in connecting that name with contemporary horse names, so some Egyptologists question the received throne sequence. Djoser is known for his step pyramid, which is the earliest colossal stone building in ancient Egypt. Djoser, also read as djoser and djoser, was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh of the 3rd dynasty during the Old Kingdom, and was the founder of that epoch. He is also known by his Hellenized names Djoser from Monedo and Ses Orthos from Eusebius. He was the son of King Khosakemwy and Queen Nefertiti, but whether he was also the direct successor to their throne is unclear. Most Ramesside king lists identify a king named Nebka as preceding him, but there are difficulties in connecting that name with contemporary horse names, so some Egyptologists question the received throne sequence. Djoser is known for his step pyramid, which is the earliest colossal stone building in ancient Egypt. Pharaoh 19 or 28 years Ka to 686 to 648 BC. 1. 2687 to 2668 BC. 2 to 668 to 649 BC. 3 to 667 to 648 BC. 4 5 or to 630 to 611 BC. 6 predecessor. Khosakemwy most likely or Nebkha-Successorship most likely or Sanactor oil titular consorti. Children in Netkays, maybe Sekimkit, Father Khosakemwy c. 2649 BC or c. 2611 burial step pyramid at Sakra dynasty. 3rd dynasty painted limestone statue of Djoser, now in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, is the oldest known life-sized Egyptian statue. 8 today, at the site in Saqqara where it was found, a plaster copy of it stands in place of the original. The statue was discovered during the Antiquities surface excavations of 1924-1925. In contemporary inscriptions, he is called Net-Jerakit, meaning divine of body. Later sources, which include a New Kingdom reference to his construction, help confirm that Net-Jerakit and Djoser are the same person, while Monedo names Necher office and the Turan king list names Nebka as the first ruler of the 3rd dynasty. Many Egyptologists now believe Djoser was first king of this dynasty, pointing out that the order in which some predecessors of Khufu are mentioned in the West card papyrus suggests Nebka should be placed between Djoser and Huni, not before Djoser. More significantly, the English Egyptologist Toby Wilkinson has demonstrated that burial seals found at the entrance to Khosakemwy's tomb in Abydos name only Djoser, rather than Nebka. This supports the view that it was Djoser who buried and, hence, directly succeeded Khosakemwy, rather than Nebka. 9. Djoser is linked to Khosakemwy, the last king of the 2nd dynasty of Egypt, through his wife Queen Nefertiti, via seals found in Khosakemwy's tomb and at Beit Caliph. The seal at Abydos names Nefertiti as the mother of the king's children. Nefertiti, on mostbeautiful 1 at Beit Caliph, the same person is mentioned as the mother of the dual king. Dating of other seals at the Beit Caliph site place them to the reign of Djoser. This evidence suggests that Khosakemwy is either the direct father of Djoser, or that Nefertiti had him through a previous husband. German Egyptologist Gunnar Dreyer found Djoser's sealings at Khosakemwy's tomb, further suggesting that Djoser was the direct successor of Khosakemwy and that he finished the construction of the tomb. Her cult seems to have still been active. In the later reign of Snefru, Hetepernepti is identified as one of Djoser's queens on a series of boundary stela from the step pyramid enclosure, now in various museums, and a fragment of relief from a building at Hermopolis, currently in the Egyptian Museum of Turin. Inetkaz was their only daughter known by name. There was also a 3rd royal female attested during Djoser's reign, but her name is destroyed. The relationship between Djoser and his successor, Sekhemkhet, is not known, and the date of his death is uncertain. Period of reign. Various sources provide various dates for Djoser's reign. Professor of Ancient Near East History Mark van de Meuren dates Djoser's reign to somewhere between 2686 BC to 2648 BC. Authors Joanne Fletcher and Michael Rice date his reign from 2667 BC to 2648 BC, giving a regnal period of 18 partial or complete years. 4-5 Rice further states that Nebka was Djoser's brother and predecessor. Writer Fard Adia provides a similar regnal period to Fletcher and Rice, offset by a single year minus 2668 BC to 2649 BC. 3 This dating is supported by authors Rosalie and Charles Baker in Ancient Egypt. People of the Pyramids. 16 Egyptologist Abir El-Shahawi, in association with the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, places Djoser's reign to the period of 2687 BC to 2668 BC for a similar 18 partial or complete years. To author Margaret Bunsen places Djoser as the second ruler of the Third Dynasty, and places his reign to the period of 2630 BC to 2611 BC for 19 partial or complete year reign. 6 In her chronology, Djoser is preceded by Nebka as the founder of the Third Dynasty, reigning for the period 2649 BC to 2630 BC. 17 She, like Rice, makes Nebka a brother of Djoser. 18 Djoser dispatched several military expeditions to the Sinai Peninsula, during which the local inhabitants were subdued. He also sent expeditions there to mine for valuable minerals such as turquoise and copper. This is known from inscriptions found in the desert there, sometimes displaying the banner of Set alongside the symbols of Horus, as had been more common under Khasi Khemri. The Sinai was also strategically important as a buffer between the Nile Valley and Asia. Construction project's most famous monument was his step pyramid, which entailed the construction of several mastaba tombs, one over another. 19 These forms would eventually lead to the standard pyramid tomb in the later Old Kingdom. Manetho, many centuries later, alludes to architectural advances of this reign, mentioning that Djoser discovered how to build with hewn stone, in addition to being remembered as the physician Aesculapius, and for introducing some reforms in the writing system. Modern scholars think that Manetho originally ascribed or meant to ascribe these feats to Immutes, who was later deified as Aesculapius by the Greeks and Romans, and who corresponds to Imhotep, the famous minister of Djoser who engineered the step pyramid's construction. Some fragmentary reliefs found at Heliopolis and Gebelein mention Djoser's name and suggest he commissioned construction projects in those cities. Also, he may have fixed the southern boundary of his kingdom at the First Cataract, an inscription known as the Famine Stela, and claiming to date to the reign of Djoser, but probably created during the Ptolemaic dynasty, relates how Djoser rebuilt the Temple of Khnum on the island of Elephantine at the First Cataract, thus ending a 7-year famine in Egypt. Some consider this ancient inscription as a legend at the time it was inscribed. Nonetheless, it does show that more than 2 millennia after his reign, Egyptians still remembered Djoser, although he seems to have started an unfinished tomb at Abydos, Upper Egypt. Djoser was eventually buried in his famous pyramid at Saqqara in Lower Egypt. Since Khasi Khemri, a pharaoh from the 2nd dynasty, was the last pharaoh to be buried at Abydos, some Egyptologists infer that the shift to a more northerly capital was completed during Djoser's time. One of the most famous contemporaries of King Djoser was his vizier Jadi, head of the royal shipyard and overseer of all stone works. Imhotep oversaw stone building projects, such as the tombs of King Djoser and King Sekhemkhet. It is possible that Imhotep was mentioned in the also famous papyrus West Kar, in a story called Khufu and the Magicians, but because the papyrus is badly damaged at the beginning, Imhotep's name is lost today. A papyrus from the ancient Egyptian temple of Tebtunis dating to the 2nd century AD, preserves a long story in the Demotic script about Djoser and Imhotep. In Djoser's time, Imhotep was of such importance and fame that he was honored by being mentioned on statues of King Djoser in his necropolis at Saqqara. Egyptian historian al-Nuwairi 1279-1333 described Djoser as a king who was a wise ruler of Egypt, and claimed that the Copts had a feast in honor of him, called the Vine Festival. Al-Nuwairi also visited the South Tomb of the pyramid complex of Djoser in Saqqara, identifying it as the tomb of Djosara, and describing a vault decorated with lapis lazuli, as well as a large court with a large granite door inscribed with 30 lines of hieroglyphs. Egyptologist Okasha El-Daily noted that the Modic romances of ancient Egyptian rulers, such as Djoser, Inaros and Nectanebo, also became popular in the medieval Arabic sources, which show them as heroes, with their names and deeds well recognized by the writers. 21 Djoser was buried in his famous Step Pyramid at Saqqara. This pyramid was originally built as a nearly square mastaba, but then 5 further mastabas were literally piled one upon another, each smaller than the previous one, until the monument became Egypt's first step pyramid. Supervisor of the building constructions was the high lector priest Imhotep. The step pyramid is made of limestone. It is massive and contains only one tight corridor leading to the close midst of the monument, ending in a rough chamber where the entrance to the tomb shaft was hidden. This inner construction was later filled with rubble, for it was of no use anymore. The pyramid was once 62 meters high and had a base measurement of c. 125-109 meters. It was tightly covered in finely polished, white limestone. 20 to under the step pyramid, a large maze of long corridors and chambers was dug. The burial chamber lies in the midst of the subterranean complex, a 28-meter deep shaft that leads directly from the surface down to the burial chamber. The shaft entrance was sealed by a plug stone, with a weight of 3.5 tons. The subterranean burial maze contains 4 magazine galleries, each pointing straight to one cardinal direction. The eastern gallery contained 3 limestone reliefs, depicting King Djoser during the celebration of the Heb's rejuvenation feast. The walls around and between these reliefs were decorated with bluish faience tiles, very close to the blue chambers. 11 tomb shafts lead straight down for 30 to 32 meters, and then deviate in a right angle to the west. Shafts IV were used for the burials of royal family members. They were thought to imitate reed mats, as an allusion to the mythological underworld waters. The other galleries remained unfinished. At the eastern side of the pyramid, shafts VIC were used as symbolic tombs for the grave goods of royal ancestors from dynasties I2. More than 40,000 vessels, bowls and vases made of various kinds of stone were found in these galleries. Royal names such as of King's Den, Semerkit, Ninetjer, and Sekhemib were incised on the pots. It is now thought that Djoser once restored the original tombs of the ancestors, and then sealed the grave goods in the galleries in an attempt to save them. Serdab statue of Djoser. The statue of Djoser is walled into the Serdab. The main purpose of the statue was to allow the king to manifest himself and be able to see the rituals performed in and out the Serdab. This painted statue is plastered and made out of limestone. Each characteristic of the statue represents something. The straighted tripartite wig he is wearing assimilates him to the living world as a dead king. The striped head cloth that covers the wig was used to cover all of his hair. This was a ritual that began to be used by kings in the 4th dynasty. The body is wrapped under a long robe. His hands are placed in a specific way. His right arm is horizontally displayed on his chest, while his left arm is resting on his thigh. The placement of his arms are a resemblance to Kasikum seat, one of the oldest representations of the 9 bows, and the first representation of the 9 bows fully developed is on the seated statue of Pharaoh Djoser. His feet rest upon part of the 9 bows, which may have referred to Nubians during his reign because of their use of bows and arrows. The funerary complex is the first architectural project to to be built entirely out of stone. This complex had 14 entrances, but only one was functional. It is made up of the Great South Court and the Heb's North Court with djoser's step pyramid in the center. The complex is enclosed by a 10.5 meters high stone wall, referred to as the enclosure wall. Along with the main courts, there is a roofed colonnade entrance located within the South Court, and a serrated chamber that holds the seated statue of the King Djoser.